Hello and welcome to Original Soundchat, where video game music is a work of art. On each episode, it's our goal to help you learn about two soundtracks from the world of games, as well as the people, stories, and critical tracks behind them. My name is DeVader.
And I'm Peter Spezia. We're brought to you by Anonymous Dinosaur and Rhymes with Asia. It's time to appreciate great OSTs and the games they come from without getting too bogged down in music theory. Joe, what are this week's games?
Up first is a return to the 80s to tell the story of two young upstarts before they become legends, 2017's Yakuza 0.
Following that is 2013's Super Mario 3D World, where jazzy big band music fits the cat-filled world of Mario's first multiplayer 3D platforming romp. Oh boy, it's our first episode we're recording together since E3 2019. We mentioned on a past episode, Joe, you got to go to E3. Just real quick, what was the gist of your experience? What were the cool things you got to do there?
So I got to go as a member of the press, which was both awesome and also the most exhausting experience I've ever had in my entire life. And I got to play a whole bunch of really cool games, some of which weren't really available to be played by the public, such as I got to play Yooka-Laylee in the Impossible Lair. And it's really good, by the way. I got to go meet John Romero and see his new game, Empire of Sin, which is also super up my alley. And I got to meet a bunch of indie developers. I really did try to rub elbows with some people and be like, hey, so got any composers that I could talk to? But I couldn't find any.
But you got to meet Ikumi Nakamura.
I did get to meet Ikumi Nakamura, and she was so excited and so happy to be there. And I screwed up because she was trying to get me to do her spooky pose, and I didn't do it. And I didn't realize till after that. Oh no, that's what she was trying to get me to do. Oh, I'm stupid. But I did get a picture with her, and I got to shake her hand and talk to her, tell her game looked super cool.
It really did, yeah.
I got to meet Greg Miller for a few minutes. Told him that
he's amazing.
Told him that we had friends. Me and Matt said we got friends that really sing your praises very highly. And he was like, so I just got to get you then. That's what I got to do now. I was like, after that showcase, you're pretty close. Not gonna lie.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And my favorite part of that was that we met him just per chance outside the security line to get in to the media entrance. And after that sentence, he walked away to get in line. And then as we were entering, he was walking back and he was like, sorry, I walked away. I had to get through the line. And then he kept talking to us, which is not something I expected and something I found really, really cool.
Yeah, no, he's fantastic. I'm so thrilled. It sounds like you had a great time. It is certainly exhausting for sure, but very excited here to talk about two great games today. Oh gosh, what would the theme be for this one? One's about a mad dog and one's about cats. Cats and dogs this time around, ladies and gentlemen.
That works out pretty well, actually.
In some weird way, it somehow works. Let's hear about Yakuza 0.
Yes, let's. So we're doing this because Judgment comes out. In what? It comes out today.
Today.
At time of release, it comes out today.
But I found out that if you digitally pre-order it, you got to access it on Friday, which is crazy.
That is pretty crazy, and also probably going to lead me to go pre-order it. Literally right after unless it's too late, I don't know. We'll find out. Find out together, listeners. No, we won't. I'll find out in the privacy of my own home. Now, Yakuza 0. Originally released for the PlayStation 3 and 4 in March of 2015 in Japan. It is the sixth main entry in the Ryuga Gotoku franchise, which roughly translates to Like a Dragon, which is a way cooler title than Yakuza. But we call them Yakuza here in Japan because we're devoid of creativity at Sega of America, but whatever.
And it is Yakuza, not Yakuza.
On the old Best Friends channel, they used to jokingly refer to it as Yakuzis. So that's my favorite go-to jokey name of it. But yes, it is Yakuza. So, this game is a prequel story that was actually released for the 10th anniversary of the original game, which released in Japan on the PlayStation 2 in 2005. It takes place in December of 1988. The player follows two characters, one of them being the usual protagonist of the Yakuza franchise, Kazuma Kiryu, my dad, and his rival and friend from the rest of the series for the first time ever, Goro Majima. It splits the story between the two. They never meet throughout the entire game, and it's just supposed to be this origin before they are legends. Funnily enough, not the earliest times we have seen these characters, because Yakuza 2 involves something when Kiryu is a teenager, and Yakuza 5 involves something that is actually the reason why he is in his situation in Yakuza 0. So, Kiryu's story takes place mostly in Kamurocho, which is based on the real-life Tokyo district of Kabukicho. He is a debt collector for the Dojima family, which is the biggest Yakuza family under the Tojo clan, which is the largest Yakuza organization in the Tokyo area. And after a routine shakedown, he finds himself being framed for murder. And that puts him in the crosshairs of the other lieutenants of the Dojima family, because that murder just happened to take place in an empty lot that the Dojima family very, very much wants to get a hold of. See, the Dojima family is currently working to do this massive construction job in Kamurocho. But one little hang-up has reared its ugly head, and it's this empty lot that nobody knows who owns it. They can't buy it because nobody knows who has the deed. Nobody's been able to find the owner. So it's basically been said that whatever lieutenant is able to get a hold of the deed to this empty lot will get promoted to the position of Kiryu's adopted father, Shintaro Kazuma, who is currently serving time in prison. In order to try and keep the reputation of Kazuma clean for the most part, Kiryu has himself forcibly removed from the Dojima family and winds up working for Tachibana Real Estate, a company that has basically made its business to buy up all of the land around Kamurocho to try and get in the Dojima family's way. Meanwhile...
And like that's a pretty good summary of what's going on for Kiryu.
Yes. Meanwhile, in Sotenbori, which is based on the real-life Osaka district of Dotonbori, because I find that really funny, by the way. All they did was replace one sound.
Pretty much, yeah.
Goro Majima has found himself being forced to run the Cabaret Grand, the largest cabaret club in the city, as a result of some events that not only led to him losing his eye, but also led to his sworn brother, Taiga Saejima, who would become playable in future past games in the Yakuza franchise that take place in the future from this one, but came out before it.
Yes,
Don't worry about it. He's working as the manager for the Cabaret Grand. He does not enjoy his job, even though he is remarkably good at it. He makes a ton of money. The club is flourishing under his management, but he is only doing it because he's hoping that the money he makes through this job will allow him to buy himself back into the Tojo clan. He is under the watchful eye of the largest Yakuza organization in the Kansai region, the Omi Alliance, who is a long-standing antagonist group in the Yakuza franchise, just in general. At one point, he is offered a hit job, and told that if he is able to pull this off, it will put him immediately back in the Tojo clan as a member of the Shimano family. And, of course, he jumps on it. He decides he's going to do it right away. He has to kill somebody named Makoto Makimura. Except, once he gets to the area where his mark is supposedly supposed to be, he finds out that Makoto Makimura is a blind civilian lady. And from there, he takes it upon himself to not only try and figure out why the Yakuza want her dead, but also what significance she might have to events elsewhere. And so, that is the beginnings of the story of Yakuza 0. There is a lot. It is a really, really well-written crime drama, possibly one of the best written crime dramas involving a single piece of concrete.
Now, I think you did a really good job kind of describing like the fundamental narrative tensions at play. And it's a beefy game. Obviously, yeah, you love this game, you love this series. For me, I got into experiencing the Yakuza series with this game. And we'll get into later how, this is the right point. Mm-hmm. Start with 0, you'll be just fine. Sure, they do make references to other series events, but for people wanting to start out, 0 is the right one.
Pretty much all you'll find in 0 are, small little Easter eggs about future games. One of Majima's side stories is about a kid that is beating people up and stealing their pants. Mm-hmm. And that kid grows up to be the villain of Yakuza 2. So, and one of the best villains in video games, bar none, by the way. But he's in 0, he's just running around stealing pants.
Yeah, I could go figure.
That's really all you're gonna see in terms of references to games that take place after it.
So I guess how far I got into playing this game was I think I got about 2/3 of the way through it. I did not beat Yakuza 0, but I still put between 30 and 40 hours into it. I mean, this is a beefy game, a large open world. I mean, 2 sizable maps of Kamurocho and Sotenbori, and I got to the point, if it's not going to be spoilers or anything like that, but Kiryu had his big bro argument moment with Nishiki on the side of the road.
Oh, that scene's so good.
It's a great scene. He comes back into town like he's there, and it's like, oh, okay, well, because the whole fucking family is after him. And it's combat after combat, and it's relentless. And even on easy mode, I could not get through it. I got frustrated. I stopped. It's one I should go back to, or maybe it's one I had it rented on PS4, but now I own it on PC. So maybe it's do I just start a new save file? But yeah, I put a sizable amount of time in it. It's a great game, but I hit a stopping point myself.
Sometimes you just got to step away when something is frustrating. I'm having that right now with Cadence of Hyrule. I hit a point of that game that's really, really hard. So I get you. So, there's not a lot that I could find about the development of this game, which is a shame. In fact, I can't find a lot about the development of any of them, except probably one if I were to look into the original, but it comes down even to the point that none of the Wikipedia articles list composers even. They seem to keep information about the development of Yakuza games very, very close to the chest, because I couldn't even find interviews.
Wow.
But who I did find interviews with were the people that handled the localizations. Now, Yakuza 0 has a fantastic localization, an incredible localization. This has not always been the case. I've played the whole series. Oh boy. So, Yakuza 0 obviously did not see a Western release until 2017, because Yakuza games have historically had a very shaky relationship with Western releases. The original game came out on the PlayStation 2 dubbed, with a big cast, with some big names, most notably Mark Hamill voiced Majima.
I mean, that's a big get. Doesn't he just not remember who that is at all?
I believe somebody asked him at a panel at some point, about Majima, and he was like, I don't know who that is. I don't remember that character. So, which is probably because game bombed. Game bombed in the West. It was a massive runaway hit in Japan, but it did not do well here for multiple factors. One of them being that they just didn't know how to market it, and mainly just sort of fell back on marketing it as it's the Japanese GTA, and that is the worst description you could possibly give to Yakuza. It's not that. And also, apparently, something I didn't know, the first trailer released for the first Yakuza game had scratch tracks for the dialogue.
Oh.
Anybody that does not know, a scratch track is something you record to give an idea of what it's supposed to sound like, and it is explicitly not the final version. I've mostly heard of scratch tracks in relation to music. Somebody who is not the vocalist will sort of sing a bad version. Not a bad version on purpose, but usually they're not a vocalist. They'll sing a version for the vocalist to listen to so that the vocalist has an idea of, oh, this is what it needs to sound like. I don't know who decided to put that in a trailer and then release it. What is wrong with you?
Some agency messed up.
And from then on, they didn't have a way to come back from that. Websites took that trailer and they ran with it. So, the original Yakuza was a financial disappointment, and from there, they stopped trying to dub the games. They were released subbed in Japanese, but even then, they just sort of still didn't make money. It was still a very, very niche title here. And then the spin-off title, Yakuza Dead Souls, came out, and it did so badly that Sega just sort of decided, maybe it's not worth bringing these titles to America at all. With that being said, Yakuza 5 came out in 2012 with absolutely no word of a Western release date. Fan outcry was constant, and eventually Sega finally gave in, and it came out in 2015 as a digital-only title for the PlayStation 3. That was the first Yakuza I played, but it is not the first that I beat, obviously. But that is the first Yakuza game that I bought. The problem with starting at Yakuza 5 is it assumes you have played Yakuzas 1 through 4, and I had not. So, and that's another reason why 0 is the best place to start. It doesn't assume you've played any of them. Yakuza 5 did alright, I guess. Sega still didn't have a super huge amount of faith. So when Yakuza 0 came out in Japan, it was still very unclear as to whether or not it was actually going to come out in the West. But this is no longer the world we live in, my friends. For you see, Yakuza 0 came out in America, and it was a massive hit. Now I know what you might be thinking. What changed? Many people have tried to give thought as to why suddenly one game comes out. It's not just because Yakuza 0 is a fantastic game, which it is. It is the best game in the series still, in my opinion. But it's also because this little thing called Twitter was hooked up to this little thing called the PS4 share button, which allowed people to effortlessly share goofy screenshots of what was happening in their game. So people would see things like Nugget, the chicken that you can make a manager of your real estate company.
And you win him from bowling. It's interesting that you mentioned this because that was my first exposure to Yakuza 0. Like, you nailed it. Like, it's exactly what it is.
So people would see pictures like that and go, oh man, this game looks funny and goofy. I want in on that. I want to see what's up with this. And then suddenly, oh man, I didn't sign up for this amazing crime drama, but here I am. And from there, it just grew and grew and grew, and word of mouth grew. And now Yakuza is this massively popular franchise over here, which it has always deserved to be.
Yeah, 2017 was a remarkable year for Yakuza. And yeah, it just, it taking off in the West has done big, big things.
Well, in 2017, we got Yakuza 0. And then we got Yakuza Kiwami, which is a remake of Yakuza 1. And then in 2018, we got Yakuza 6, as well as Yakuza Kiwami 2, which is a remake of Kiwami, or of Yakuza 2. Apparently, Kiwami 2 was pretty much made for us. That's how much of a success Yakuza 0 was. They made that game for us. They are remastering and relocalizing 3, 4, and 5 for release on the PlayStation 4 for us.
Yeah, exactly.
It is incredible. And once those remasters come out, for the first time in a long time, the entirety of Kiryu's story will be playable on one console. From 0 to 6. This is the best time to get into the Yakuza franchise. There is no better time. And you play 0, you play Kiwami, Kiwami 2, and then you make your way 3, 4, 5, 6, and then you've gotten the whole thing. This is the moment, guys. If you haven't played Yakuza, if you have a PC, Yakuza 0, Kiwami, and Kiwami 2 have all been released on Steam.
Mm-hmm.
So if you don't have a PS4, but you have a good PC, there you go.
I mean, 0 at its most expensive is $20. You'll often see it go down on sale, sometimes to 10.
That's the biggest steal you possibly could. That's such a good deal. It's incredible. People have no excuse not to play these games except for if they don't have a PS4 or a powerful enough PC to run it. Then that's a pretty good excuse. But otherwise, there's no excuse. These games are so good. Some are better than others. I am not a huge fan of Yakuza 4 and Yakuza 6. For me, the ending is a little bit disappointing, though overall I still enjoy it. There's not a bad game, though. They're all still really, really, really good games. Just go play them. I'm sure 6 will eventually end up on PC. It hasn't yet for some reason, which is really weird. I know they are well within the capabilities to do that because Kiwami 2 runs on the exact same engine as 6. So they can do it.
Yeah, they'll get there. Yeah.
I imagine they're probably waiting for 3, 4, and 5 to get released on PC so that people can play in order. I also wanted to give a shout out that since 0, from 0 onward, I didn't know this, but localization is actually being handled by Scott Strichart of Atlas USA. And they deserve a shout out because they've been doing a fantastic job. I've played Yakuza 3. Its localization is extremely rough. So I'm looking forward to seeing what they do with it.
Yeah, Scott's doing a great job. He's right now in promo for Judgment, of course, because it's coming out. And Judgment, if you're wondering with that one, like that's set in Kamurocho in that universe, but like it's its own thing. So again, like if you're seeing stuff for Judgment and that interests you too, like don't worry, you don't need to play Yakuza, but like play both. Play this series of games.
I had this really weird moment at the E3 booth where the character told me like, oh, you got to go to this street. And then it was like, here's how you open the map. I was like, I don't need to open the map, though. I know where that is. I know where Pink Street is. You don't got to tell me. So I just opened it real quick and closed it. And the guy next to me, the rep next to me was like, don't you need to know where you're going? I was like, no, I'm aware. I know the streets. I'm good. And just ran straight there. It's
like if we ever go to Japan and then we go to, Kabukicho.
Well, apparently that map is just about 1-to-1.
Yeah, no, exactly. And it's like, we don't need to be, noses in our phones or maps or anything like that. You'll just know.
Yeah, it's that's actually one of the things I absolutely want to do. I want to go to Dotonbori too for the same reason.
Mm-hmm.
I think that would be incredible, just to be able to go there and be like, I know where I am right now. I wouldn't be able to use the Millennium Tower as a thing though, because the Millennium Tower is not real. But a lot of the music in the Yakuza franchise, especially in Yakuza 0, is led by Hidenori Shoji. He is in a band called H, which is a band apparently composed of other sound designers at Sega. Well, that's all I got. I can't find anything about this man.
Japan.
I know what he looks like, and that's it. And I have his discography. Like, this is the most... I can't find where he was born. I can't find when he started working at Sega. I can't find anything.
Sorry, guys, we really tried.
I tried, so I looked for an hour to try and find anything on this man. I did find his discography, though, which wasn't that hard. He's got a Wikipedia page, so it's not even like the Ace Attorney guy where he didn't even have a Wikipedia article. He has a Wikipedia article. It's just that thing about the Sega band. That's all that's in it. That and his discography.
It's just like no biography.
It also says he played... It tells me that he played some music, some Yakuza music in 2008 at the Tokyo Game Show. That's all the information I have for you.
Oh, okay. I mean, I would have laughed if he said, he also learned to play on electric organ on the Electone.
Oh, I'm sure we'll hit another one of those within the next, month.
Mm-hmm.
But as for his discography, he has done music for Super Monkey Ball and Super Monkey Ball 2, which makes sense because that's where Nagoshi, the man in charge of the Yakuza franchise, started. He did the music for F-Zero GX and some of it for F-Zero AX, which I found really interesting. I didn't know that was a Nagoshi game too. I had no idea. That's really interesting. I knew Sega had involvement. I didn't know it was Nagoshi specifically. He has done some form of work for every single game in the Yakuza franchise, from the mainline stuff to the spin-offs, such as Yakuza Kenzan, Ishin, the PSP one I can't remember the name of because who cares? Dead Souls. He worked as a localization support person for Dead Souls, not on the music, which is... I guess he's got multiple skills and positions? That's weird, but alright. He did Binary Domain, which is the third-person shooter by the Yakuza team, which is apparently really weird and not great. He did the music for Fist of the North Star Lost Paradise, which is the Yakuza team's Fist of the North Star game, and also he is one of the composers for Judgment.
Yay!
As for some fun facts about the soundtrack itself, I was able to find one, which is that in the Japanese version, there are opening and ending themes performed by the Japanese reggae band Shonan no Kaze. The opening theme is called Bubble, which I imagine is a reference to the financial bubble of Japan in the 1980s.
Yeah.
And the ending theme is called Kuranai. These songs were not licensed for the Western releases. Therefore, we got original instrumental tracks for our opening and ending songs.
That's really interesting, because now that you mention it, I'm like, I don't remember reggae music, but...
Yeah.
Okay, no, that makes sense.
Well, it also explains to me why the opening theme isn't on the soundtrack. The one that I know, the ta-da-dun, that's not on the soundtrack.
Yeah, right.
So that explains why.
Mm-hmm.
It was written specifically just so we had music, which, to be fair, that song's really good. So we didn't really lose a huge amount. But hey. But that's all I could find on Yakuza 0. Let's talk about the 5 critical tracks. And the first one, unfortunately, pretty much all of these are fight songs, because, to be honest, there's not a lot of music that plays in Yakuza when fights aren't happening. On the overworld, it's just sort of crowd ambiance, and that works.
Yeah, dramatic music, it's tones, it's tension, noises. Yeah, no, the fights are certainly the most memorable.
Yeah, so our first critical track is Force Addiction. Now, the way that Yakuza 0's combat works is every character has 3 styles that they can switch between. Technically 4, but the 4th one isn't unlockable. that you get very, very far into the game for both of them, so let's not count that. It's 3. For Kiryu, there is Brawler, Beast, and Rush. And this is the song that plays when you fight in the Brawler style. So there's a different song for each style, and this is the first one you hear in a fight in the game because Brawler is the first style that Kiryu gets. And in my opinion, it's also the best one for Kiryu.
Yeah, it's the best one in his set for sure.
I don't even know how to describe it, but it gets you all hyped up. Every time I hear that intro, I just like see Kiryu rolling his shoulders back before the fight and just putting up his dukes. I don't know. I think part of it is that it's the first song you hear, but also it's just the best one, and it fits Kiryu's sort of feel when he fights things.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. It's the best one for Kiryu's set, and yeah, it's one that, like, if anyone gives this game a shot, you ought to know this one because, like as you said, it's the first style, and it's certainly catchy enough to stay in your head. That's for sure.
Meanwhile, our second critical track only plays in one section of the game, as far as I'm aware, for like 5 minutes, and it is Customer Creed. This is the song that plays during the introduction to Majima, in which he comes out to confront a customer who is groping one of his hostesses, and he gets in a fight with the customer who tries to stab him with an ice pick. It's kind of... I shouldn't call it a fight, because the entire point of the section is that Majima cannot hit this man. He is a customer. So it's basically the game weirdly teaching you how to dodge. This is the one time in the game where it really like puts a focus on teaching you how to dodge attacks. And that's weird because it's like 4 hours into the game. Because you got to play 2 Kiryu chapters before you get here. So it's really weird that it happens here. But nonetheless, this like big jazz piece that I believe it's supposed to be implied that the band in the cabaret club is playing in the background. Mm-hmm. It's one of the best introductions to a character ever.
Oh, it's incredible. It's not only one of the best introductions to a character ever, it's arguably one of the best cutscenes in this game, and it's another one of those, like, when the share button went rampant with this game, like, this scene was another big reason why. And, like, it still doesn't kill the moment. Like, you're still getting to control, the customer's always king, and some of these dodge counters, like, you're kind of just sneaking up behind him and like, would you like this, sir? It's fantastic. And yeah, I think the jazz is just totally different than anything else on the soundtrack. So again, we like to emphasize the range, but this had to be here because it's a phenomenal moment in this game.
Like all the other fight themes in this game are either rock or very heavy electronic.
Yeah, something like techno infusions, yeah.
Yeah, so this being just this big jazz theme, I think is actually a throwback to Yakuza 2, which takes place in Sotenbori for the most part. I think that's exactly why they did it, because Yakuza 2's soundtrack is a lot of jazz, which is really cool and interesting going back to it now. Speaking of Majima, our third critical track is One-Eyed Dancer. Do I use this style? No, not really. I think it's his least useful style. I mean, I'll use it sometimes, but Thug and Slugger for Majima, basically, they've got me covered. Slugger, especially, is actually probably kind of overpowered.
Yeah, it's good for just an AoE effect with the swing. Mm-hmm. But, like, you can't deny the breakdancing.
Oh, yeah, and since Breaker style is based on breakdancing, the song better be good, and it is. This song is so cool.
I think if I had to pick one, I actually like One-Eyed Assassin a little more.
One-Eyed Assassin was my runner-up for bringing in for Majima. I don't like the music that plays for Slugger. I really don't.
Yeah.
But I love One-Eyed Dancer, and One-Eyed Assassin is also fantastic. But One-Eyed Dancer just it came out on top in the end.
And it's also, you have to kind of show just like, this is where you're going in this game. Like, with the combat, that's, all non-lethal kills, by the way.
Sure is.
But for one of these styles, like, you're just spinning and just, moving your legs around and breaking. It's just super cool and not what you'd expect normally.
The windmill attack is probably the only reason why I ever actually do use Breaker style, because first off, it's a very good crowd control move, even though it does no damage.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
That's the problem with Breaker, is it does nothing. It's the same problem I have with Rush with Kiryu, is that it's very useful in, like, mobility, but it does no damage. I need those people down. Next up, we have Pledge of Demon. Let's get in there. Oh, this song's so good. So this song plays when you fight Daisuke Kuze, who is one of the lieutenants of the Dojima family, and seems to be the one that has it the most out for Kiryu, considering he is the one you fight 4 or 5 times throughout the game.
Yeah, I think I made it through 2, so I still got some ways to go when I play.
He's one of those characters that just, it's really satisfying to punch him in the face, but at a certain point, you're just like, all right, how many times are we going to have to do this, old man?
But the music, though.
The music's so good. If it's going to play 4 times, it better be. I just especially like the intro. Just the it like hypes you up so much. You're like, yes, let's do this. Let's get in there.
Yeah, it's hype.
Gonna beat up this senior citizen boxer man. He's like 50 or 60. He's he's so old. His backstory is that he used to fix boxing matches, and he was a boxer himself. And so I think that's the main reason why they have you fight him. Yakuza villains always seem to have the archetypes. There's the very loud man that is gonna like fight Kiryu, and I'm gonna prove I'm better than Kiryu. And then there's always the scheming dude who doesn't fight you himself, but he's got all this other stuff.
That's Owano for sure, and he sucks.
That's Owano. I love Owano, and you do fight him once. Not as Kiryu, but you do fight him. But he's the schemer man. Like, that scene with Owano in the disco is one of my favorite scenes in the game.
Yeah, no, that's true.
Kiryu just walks in, is like, what are you doing? I'm dancing. And that lady dies.
She sure does.
Our last critical track is Two Dragons. once again, let's get in there.
Oh my god, had to be here. This one had to be here.
This is the final boss theme of the game against Shibusawa, another lieutenant of the Dojima family, the last one. Poor Awano just gets left off the list completely. I don't even remember what song plays during his fight.
That unmemorable.
It's not even the final boss for Majima. He fights somebody immediately afterward. But after having played all the Yakuza games, I think that one of the final bosses in 5, not the final boss, but one of them, and the final boss of 2 are the only ones that top the level of hype that this fight has. And I don't even know why, because Shibusawa does nothing in the entire game until you meet him at the top of this boat, and he's just like, I'm gonna be the Dragon of Dojima. And Kiryu's like, fine, but also stop killing people. And then they fight. The whole argument is that Kiryu is the Dragon of Dojima after this game because he's got a dragon tattooed on his back. That's the whole reason. Yakuza take their tattoos very, very, very seriously. But so does Shibusawa. And there's only room for one dragon in the Dojima family. And this fight just happens on a boat. And Shibusawa uses your styles, I'm pretty sure. At one point, you land on an area where there's just a bunch of tables and chairs, and the game might as well be screaming, hey, use Beast style here. Because he's using Beast style here. And it's just such a cool fight, and this song, just how it starts out with the guitars, and then it eventually goes into the violins, and the dun 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 dun. Ah, it's so good. There's a version of the track that plays in the actual game, if you watch the cutscene leading up to the fight, where that sort of intro lasts a little bit longer than it does in the album version of the song. But just every time I hear this song, I just hear clearly in my mind, Shibusawa, Kiryu! And then they just meet fists in the middle of that boat. Yakuza's so cool.
It is fantastic.
So, let's get into Cutting Room Floor. What you got for me?
I got a couple songs here. One I've always been drawn to on this soundtrack is Interplanetary Spark. It's just this insanely catchy guitar riff. It's a real good earworm. It's like if there were a fighting game, like a Tekken-like game created for Yakuza, like this is your character select music for sure.
Speaking of, put Kiryu in Tekken, thank you.
How has that not happened? I mean, come on. You put Negan from The Walking Dead. All right, fine, whatever. Apparently, like, this takes place in, like, a fight related to Majima's Cabaret Club minigame, because
I think so.
We'll get to the minigames, because a lot of minigames in Yakuza. It's nuts, but I couldn't really find any proof. And, like, for such a criminally underused piece, but like it's so good, and the fact that like not everyone can discover it, I certainly wanted to highlight it. This is composed by Zenta, who is someone on the Sega sound team, it seems, and really nails that electric guitar for sure. I also wanted to throw a shout out to Rain. And this takes place when Majima is entering the Dojima family HQ, and he's really going to become the mad dog here, where he's just going to take everyone out. Like, the beast is loose here. It's just a powerful song, especially with vocals. Like, that really adds to it. The vocals by Mari Yoshida. But, the lyrics of no time to lose, so I'll find my path. And it's just like, yeah, Majima's on a mission here. It's a damn good song.
For me, I also have, actually, both of my songs in the Cutting Room 4 are connected to the minigames. And that's the only reason they didn't end up in the, well, it's half that, half, man, which one of those would I have replaced? Which one?
It's an incredible soundtrack. It's a tough call.
But for me, the first song on the Cutting Room 4 is Troubleshooting Star. This is actually, I think, my favorite battle theme in the entire game. It plays whenever you get into a fight related to Kiryu's real estate side game. Basically, what that entails is you go around buying buildings, and then you collect the money in your real estate office. It's not a very good side thing. Not to say I didn't finish it. I did. But every once in a while, you'll not be able to collect money from some of your territories because some hoodlums are making trouble there, so you have to go fight them, and that's where this song plays. And this song feels like Kiryu and feels like an upstart. Like somebody that is gonna go far and become a legend. And then I also have Try to Have Some Fun for Me. Which was apparently done by Saori Yoshida. And this is actually my favorite non-battle theme in the entire game.
Also talk about just something totally different.
Oh yeah, 100%. So, unlike Kiryu, who just has the real estate stuff, Majima has a full minigame where you run a cabaret club, which I'd play an entire game built around just that mode. It's that good. I haven't finished it because it's a good deal harder than Kiryu's stuff. And also a friend until recently was borrowing my copy. And I'm going to jump back into it, actually. That mode made a comeback in Kiwami 2. It was that beloved.
It goes surprisingly deep for a side hustle minigame.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. There's like every hostess has stats, and you got to pay attention to what each customer wants. You gotta really time your fever correctly. It's such a fun game, though. Like, how much did you play of it?
Oh gosh, maybe only a couple sessions just to get the gist of it.
Did you play enough to get a handle on what the hand gestures meant?
Nope.
I know what all of them mean. Like, that's actually probably my favorite part of the whole thing, is that every once in a while a hostess will ask for help, and they will, when you go in and zoom into their booth, they will just give you a hand gesture, and you have to pick the correct thing that they are asking for off of a list of options.
Steal second base. No, that's baseball signs.
Well, like, it took me a while to realize that the two fingers, this will make a lot more sense to people watching the video, but the two fingers put together, like you're saying, just a little bit, that's supposed to be ladies' glass. That's the one that took me the longest to figure out. So, yeah, this song is super great. Vocals by Mayumi Koizumi. And it's so catchy. This is the do stuff while this plays song. I love it. I actually plan on, over the summer, I'm going to try and recreate this minigame in Unity with very crude graphics because I am not an artist, but I'm going to try. So look forward to updates on that. Probably not here, but somewhere. So what will I never forget about Yakuza 0? Well, first off, this is the game that fully got me into Yakuza. My first experience with Yakuza was watching an LP of Yakuza 4 on the Super Best Friends channel. And then when 5 came out, Pat Bavon, one of the members of that group, started shouting like, people need to buy this game. This game needs to do well, or they're gonna stop bringing Yakuza games to America completely. And so I bought Yakuza 5 and I played a little bit of it, but again, hit a snag when it was like, you played 1 through 4, right? And no. And I didn't even remember 4 because I'd watched that LP so long ago. But the other thing that I am always going to remember about Yakuza 0 is the fact that this game is about Majima. And Majima's story is so good. Kiryu's story is good, but Majima's story is so good. And they do him dirty. This man loses some stuff. And it also takes Nishikiyama, Kiryu's sworn brother. It takes him and turns him into a much better character than Yakuza 1 ever did, because in Yakuza 1, he's the antagonist.
Mm-hmm.
And it makes him such a way stronger character. That and some stuff added in Kiwami. And yeah, it's just, I love this game so much. It's probably among my top 10 games of all time.
And the crazy thing is, like, it's not just, crime drama and clans and fights and all that. Japan is a bustling world. And you're in the 80s and you can go to arcades. You can play darts, pool, arcade machines. You can go find idol pictures around town and take it to watch softcore porn. And it's the world is yours to explore and do all sorts of mini games. But there's also karaoke. And it's just a special thing. And we didn't include those tracks on this list because it's a side thing, but it's really special. But it's a Guitar Hero rhythm like game. I can go check it out. Just explore the world there for sure.
Yeah.
But if you really want to hear a couple of the karaoke songs, we have something for you. "レールから外れた不良品の野良犬さ」「だけど簡単にはテルは振らないぜ」「イエスマンになりそびれた」「悪に残されたのという名のジャスティスをブレイキンズロブレイキンズは壊せ切り裂けテンダネスをブレイキンズル六法全書じゃ縛れない反乱分子さ振り上げた握り拳が俺たちのジャッジメント素直に I love you
届けようきっと You love me 伝わるさ君に合うクラスの靴を探そう二人でステップ&ゴーいつまでも深夜12時を過ぎたって僕らのラブマジックは時計はしないおいで召しませお姫様毒のリンゴを食べてねみちゅさおな素直すぎる君がとても愛しい当たり前行こう宝物さ地球は回りや日は昇り君は微笑む素直に I love you 届けようきっと You love me 伝わるさ君に合うクラスの靴を探そう二人でステップ&ゴーいつまでも深夜12時を過ぎたって君は僕の愛しい24時間シンデレラLet's get into our transition. I had a bit of trouble picking something for this one. We like to highlight a YouTuber or OC Remix track based on some of the stuff from the game. And the one I picked is not actually a remix of a song that even appears on the official soundtrack, because it's one of those tone songs that plays during cutscenes. But the translated title, according to the artist in the comments, is Memories of the Past. It is a remix by the YouTuber Mewmore, and it's great. So please enjoy.
All right, from dogs to cats, let's talk about Super Mario 3D World. Now, of course, this is not the first time, nor will it be the last time that we talk about a Mario game. And people usually think of the Mario platforming games generally in three styles. You have the 2D platformers, your classics, Super Mario Brothers, Mario World, those sort of games. Your 3D sandbox games, this is your 64, your Sunshine, your Odyssey, where it's kind of an open world and many things for you to do. And then there's the 3D course games. The 3D course games, and these are all just informal names, of course. I mean, just kind of how I and probably others see them. I'm sure over in Japan, they have some official name for this type of Mario game. But these 3D course games, they generally started with Galaxy and Galaxy 2, which is in 2007 and 2010, respectively, for Nintendo Wii. Then you had 2011's Super Mario 3D Land for Nintendo 3DS. So then 2013's 3D World is kind of the evolution of 3D Land's ideas, but for a console audience. Because Super Mario 3D World released in November 2013 for Wii U. Japan got the game first on the 21st, North America followed on the 22nd, Europe on the 29th, and Australia on the 30th. So all pretty close together there in November 2013, the second holiday season for the ill-fated Nintendo Wii U. This was developed by Nintendo EAD Tokyo, and was published by Nintendo. EAD Tokyo was responsible for creating those similar 3D course games with Mario Galaxy and Galaxy 2 and 3D Land as well. So it's kind of this similar talent pool kind of moving along to these kinds of games. Super Mario 3D Land at its core is a 3D platforming game where the goal is simply to reach the end of the course. Like, at the gist of it, there's a flagpole all the way at the end. There could be a secret flagpole for different other routing things, but the goal is just get to the end. Like, really, that's it. And each level is kind of designed with this task specifically in mind. It's not like the multitask, many things are available, sandbox-like environments of, Odyssey, for example, and all of the moons that can be there. No, it's like, we've created this environment, get to the end. But you do have collectibles along the way. You have green stars, where you have at least 3 per level, and those are really important to collect for at least late game progression. You also have stamps that are available to collect, and at the time, those were mainly for Miiverse, and you had different stamps that you could put in your different your designs for, Miiverse.
Rest in peace.
Rest in peace, rip. And furthermore, like the big thing with this game in particular, putting it on Wii U, is that multiplayer was an option. It was like the first multiplayer 3D platforming game for Mario, and pretty big deal at the time. You had the roster of Mario, Luigi, Peach, and Toad. That all seems pretty familiar with the starting roster from Super Mario Bros. 2 USA. And later, after the credits, with a couple levels under your belt, you could unlock Super Mario Galaxy's Rosalina as an unlockable character. So overall, you could unlock up to 5, but each of these characters all had different attributes. So it wasn't just like, you're just different skins or palettes or whatever. No, like each character had a reason for why you may want to play them. The plot is pretty straightforward, as most Mario games are. Mario and friends, they're taking a stroll and they discover a clear pipe, which is seemingly leading to another world. And a fairy-like creature named a Sprixie appears and claims that her friends are in trouble. And then Bowser pops out of the pipe and takes the Sprixie and dives back in, leading Team Mario to give chase. And so, what's happening with these Sprixies? So, Joe, here's where I ask you, what is your experience with Super Mario 3D World?
So, back when I lived in my last apartment, me, my roommate Ben, and my friend Kyle all played through enough to get us to Champion Road.
Yeah.
And then Champion Road stomped us into the dirt for like an hour.
Yeah, it does get very, very difficult. Post credits, at least unlock a couple worlds. They get tough.
Yeah, it's a fun game. I'm not usually all that big a fan of the multiplayer Mario games. I don't like the new Super Mario Bros. Series at all. But this one seemed to be a little bit different. I enjoyed this one a lot more than I've enjoyed them in the past. Granted, I don't think I would have enjoyed this one very much by myself.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I think the multiplayer aspect really, really added a lot to it. And yeah, so I played it.
And you beat it if you got to Champions Road, clearly.
We did beat it.
I did the same. I played with friends. I don't think we got to as far as Champions Road. We got to unlock Rosalina, but some of those levels are pretty tricky. But it's a great game for sure. And it's interesting you mentioned, new Super Mario Brothers, especially, Wii and U and those. But yeah, that's 2D platforming. And so a lot more pits for your friends to be jerks and trolls and throw you into pits or jump out. But at least with the 3D space, you have more options. And I think it's more fun. It's more cooperative that way. It's one of the Wii U's better games, certainly. And it's also one that is on the short list of Wii U games still to come over to Switch. And I wonder if that ever will. I mean, the game included touch, microphone, gyro controls that were really based on the Wii U gamepad. Like the touch, you could touch and freeze an enemy in place, or touch and discover hidden blocks and things like that.
Yeah, I'm not sure. Honestly, I feel like if it was gonna come to Switch, it would have by now.
Yeah.
But who knows?
Yeah, I don't think they should really hold back a Switch port just for these, because these are all pretty non-essential overall. But most people remember Super Mario 3D World for, at least I'd say, its two main new introduced power-ups. And first of all, you gotta go with Cat Mario, because Cat Mario is the biggest thing to come out of this game. It's surrounding all of the marketing. It's on the box art. Everyone can be a cat in this game. It's a pretty big deal. With Cat Mario, you can climb up walls and flagpoles,
which is the most overpowered thing ever.
Yeah, it's especially in the 3D area, and you just climb up all these walls, and here's a green star. Like it's pretty ridiculous. You have a scratch-like attack. You can do a diagonal downward dive in the air. You have a special slide. Apparently, the attack, the wall climb, and overall just the ease of use for younger players. This kind of made Cat Mario one of the earliest design decisions when developing the game. Like, everyone must just be like, yep, cats. Let's make them all cats and do all these great things. But then there's also the double cherry power-up, and that also plays a big role in this game because it adds a copy of your character for every power-up the player finds. And I can't remember what's the limit of how far you can go. I mean, at least 4. You could maybe even go more than that. But as long as you keep finding cherries, like, more versions of your character all running in unison. But apparently this was discovered by accident. Someone in the development team, accidentally put an extra copy of Mario's character model into a level by mistake. And the team was so amused by this that, 1, the game didn't crash by having 2 Marios, and 2, both of these models could be controlled simultaneously. And so this was added really late into the game, and they designed things based around this.
I love stories like that. They're so good.
It's amazing. It's just an accident, but yet it became such an important part of the game. And of course you have, your fire flowers, your Tanuki tails, your invincibility stars. They're all here too. But these are the 2 big updates to the game. Super Mario 3D World was announced during a January 2013 Nintendo Direct in that the Mario Galaxy team is making the next 3D Mario game. But then it was officially revealed at E3 2013 of that year with a release window of November 2013, which they stuck the landing on that one. So, hey, kudos to them. It's reviewed exceptionally well with a Metacritic average of 93, making it the 4th highest rated game in 2013, according to Metacritic. This is behind Grand Theft Auto 5, The Last of Us, BioShock Infinite. It was certainly an easy winner for Best Wii U game or Best Nintendo game for many press outlets as far as awards go. So the Spike VGX Awards, the BAFTAs, the Developer's Choice Awards had Super Mario 3D World even nominated for Game of the Year overall. It actually even won Eurogamer and Digital Spy's Game of the Year award. As of March 31st, 2019, the game had overall yielded sales of 5.82 million units worldwide, making it the Wii U's 2nd best-selling game. Now, if you're just listening out there, first think, what's the Wii U's best-selling game? And then what's behind it? Out of curiosity. Give you some time to think. Of course, Mario Kart 8 is the best-selling game on Wii U. Third, though, is New Super Mario Bros. U, and then Smash on Wii U is 4th. Nintendo Land, Splatoon, Super Mario Maker, and New Super Luigi U round out the overall best-selling games of Wii U, and that's according to Nintendo's, financial published documents. Found that really interesting, just how really Mario dominated it is. As far as the legacy of Super Mario 3D World, it introduced the Captain Toad levels, which were these isometric diorama-like platforming stages where you could rotate the stages, and you played as Captain Toad and could not jump, but you still had to collect the green stars. And this is a concept that, of course, would be fleshed out the next year in 2014's Captain Toad Treasure Tracker. Of course, we are talking about Super Mario 3D World today because 3D World is available as a new map style in Super Mario Maker 2, which is available this week on June 28th, 2019. So, a big week in game releases, Judgment, Mario Maker 2. Certainly we had to talk about these 2 games today.
Where's my Mario 64 style? Let me play an ugly polygonal.
Yeah, what are the styles going to be? There's that blank space for possible DLC. I'd love to see an Odyssey one, to be honest. If we're talking about like just new mechanics that mean you have to wipe the slate clean, bring Cappy in there. Yeah, just change things up there. I'd love to see that. But Mario 2 USA is another possible one.
As somebody who's played Mario 2 USA, I'm good.
Yeah, right. I know, I hear you. The Mario 2 USA was the first Mario game I ever played. A weird introduction to the series, if you ask me. That's
the most weird introduction.
And that was on Game Boy Advance. Like, it was just a...
Oh, then you played the good version.
Right,
I didn't play the good version.
But it was still a weird, dumb time to get into the series, and it kind of left me middling, and like that's why I played Sonic more, to be honest. But anyway, that's a story for another time. The music on the fantastic Super Mario 3D World soundtrack, underrated soundtrack, honestly, if you want to talk about it. But it is composed primarily by Mahito Yokota. Mahito Yokota, born April 13th, 1974 in Japan. Didn't have any details on city or prefecture, but April 13th, 1974, primarily associated with playing the piano. Mahito Yokota graduated from the Tokyo College of Music, and in 1998, he started working at Koei. Worked himself all the way up to being an audio director at Koei before joining Nintendo in 2003. Most people know Yokota as a frequent collaborator with Koji Kondo. And we've talked about Koji Kondo on a previous episode with Mario 64. So Yokota primarily works on a lot of Mario games. And I think most people would know him as the lead composer on Super Mario Galaxy.
That's where I first heard his name, yeah.
Yeah, and like that's a famous score. A brilliant soundtrack in its own right, but it's especially famous for being one of the first Nintendo games to use a live recorded orchestra for its soundtrack. Apparently there were initially concerns about doing this, I learned, because the music would be streamed, just played and streamed, and not necessarily tied to any in-game events like previous MIDIs could be. There was an Iwata Asks interview where the team believes that Shigeru Miyamoto's involvement in agreeing to use an orchestra and being there for recordings and seeing the sound overall develop from the rough first sight reads to overall the final performance. And he's like, wow, so sound can grow and develop too. And just fascinated by that. The team thinks that may have been what inspired him to make Wii Music.
Thanks, team.
Which is certainly an interesting anecdote from those Iwata Asks interviews. Interesting to note that Yokota almost quit his job after receiving disapproving feedback from Koji Kondo regarding what was the essence of Mario music. Because Super Mario Galaxy apparently had an original theme, like a first draft theme, involving Latin instruments and space-like synthesizers from old sci-fi movies. The heartbreaking quote, apparently, for Yokota was Kondo saying that, Yokota-san, if somewhere in your mind you have an image that Mario is cute, please get rid of it. According to Kondo sees Mario as, Mario's cool, right? Mario's cool. So Kondo's just like, I don't know. I just, for each game, I just composed what I thought was cool at the time.
Oh my God.
And so, yeah, like this just broke Yokota for a while. But I know this seems like more information about Galaxy's soundtrack, but it's really important to kind of describe like his rise at Nintendo and like what he's been through before coming to Super Mario 3D World, because he apparently had been to a lot, even like just a broken spirit in a way, because Mario is not cute.
Sure isn't.
As far as his discography, he's led composition for Super Mario Galaxy and Super Mario Galaxy 2, as well as his first game working with Nintendo, Donkey Kong Jungle Beat. He provided support for Super Mario 3D Land, New Super Mario Bros. U, Captain Toad Treasure Tracker, and yes, even Wii Music. Sometimes we like to throw in if they've worked on Super Smash Bros. And with Nintendo composers, it's pretty easy to say that yes, he did. He arranged Star Wolf's theme / Sector Z in Super Smash Bros. For 3DS and Wii U. And apparently a fun trivia fact, he has also provided the voice of Captain Cuttlefish for the Splatoon series. So when it comes to Super Mario 3D World's soundtrack, it's performed, as far as the people playing the instruments, performed by the Mario 3D World Big Band. And there's a list of different artists that I can rattle off for you here as far as what they played. On guitar is Tomori Kudo, who is part of Ace, who's performed, on Xenoblade Chronicles, and that's a good get. You had Jun Hayakawa on the bandoneon, and the bandoneon is apparently an Argentinian accordion.
What?
That's news to me. The bandoneon.
Okay.
So, okay. There's Hitoshi Kono on violin, Tamao Fuji on percussion, Hideki Ishigaki on the shakuhachi. And the shakuhachi is a Japanese flute. Think of the Ghost of Tsushima intro performance during E3 2018. That's apparently a shakuhachi. So again, go figure. There's Hideki Onoe on the shamisen, which got, if you know music that's inspired by Japan, think Okami. It's the stringed guitar-like instrument that just when you hear it, it's very Japanese. That's the shamisen. Apparently, those two, Ishigaki and Onoe, they're Hideki and Hideki, and I guess they're also in a band like Hide and Hide. So go figure. And then you also have Koji Nishimura on trumpet, and the big band sound is really important in this game overall. It's the 3D World big band. It's a big deal. There's really an emphasis on overall fun, energetic themes in this game, and it's to fit a cat running on solid ground instead of, say these floaty themes because you're in space in the Galaxy games. Apparently there's even some electric guitar and trombone sequences in different tracks that are meant to emulate a cat meowing. So cat's a big deal in 3D World. If you haven't played it, I don't know how much to stress that cats. The soundtrack also has moments where it cleverly uses other classic Mario themes as the series becomes so historic, really. It's tend and prone to do. You have the track Mount Must Dash, where it's playing the Super Mario Kart classic Mario circuit. Plunging Falls, where there's the song Slider, which we know well from Super Mario 64.
I think that's my favorite remix of Slider, too.
It's a good one, that's for sure. And then, Joe, you would know that on Champions Road, it's the Gusty Garden Galaxy theme from Super Mario Galaxy. It's a different take on that tune. So
I try not to remember that, actually.
So you definitely have callbacks to songs here and there. But overall, the soundtrack was released for Club Nintendo members. Yes, remember then that was a thing. In Japan, Australia, and Europe, featuring 77 tracks across 2 CDs. Also to note, in an interview, Yokota and Kondo both appear to like dogs more than cats. They're fine with cats, but they like dogs. So I think that's a good little note to end it on. Let's get to the 5 critical tracks. We got to start with the first song that plays in World 1-1, Super Bell Hill. Yay! What a happy little tune. I mean, just this saxophone melody that it's like the main theme of this game. I mean, even to the point where I always think of the Mega 64 video where like they're trying to, I think it was like some sort of promotional video for Mario 3D World, but like there's Derek from Mega 64 trying to get his cat to like make this or do platforming on this diorama world. And he's like, it's just a catchy little theme. It's the one that everyone remembers from this game. And of course, being from World 1-1, it introduces you to the cat power up, much to my dog's chagrin as he shakes off. But yeah, it's all about cats. It's a jazzy little melody. You can't forget this one.
I agree. It's really good, and I'm very happy to have seen it in Smash.
Mm-hmm.
Even though it's not a remix, sadly. I believe it is just the original version. But the original version's still really good, so like, hey, I'll take it.
Yeah, you can't mess with it. Yeah, don't change perfection there. The next track, let's get to Bowser's Highway Showdown. This is the boss battle at the end of World 1, and it's a pretty memorable boss battle because Bowser's in a car, and you have to kick a soccer ball to hit the car. It's a pretty interesting boss battle to kind of be thrown into what 3D World's bosses are like, but it's also a really cool take on this game's fantastic Bowser theme. It's just really echoed strongly in this one. That guitar is just doing work to add grunge to that horn melody, and it's a really fun take. It's a good boss battle tune.
Just electric guitar, the grunge sound just fits Bowser so much. We talked about it in Mario 64 too. Like, it fits him.
And it's got this playful energy too. Like, it's not all bad and evil like a traditional villain. Like, no, Bowser's got some playfulness in him, as exemplified by other games in the Mario series, but it's a really good take on his theme, and even more so just to kind of amp it up a little bit for this boss battle. Next song on the critical tracks, we're going to go with Double Cherry Pass. This takes its name from the World 2-5 stage. It's just this light and airy piece. Definitely some big band to it. I think the piano kind of helps add the lightness to it overall. But this is really the stage that emphasizes and introduces the double cherry. And there's even like this little vocal accent in the second part of the clips, like the whoop 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 whoop. It's this is fun little song, and I think I wanted to include this mostly because of, you hear this, you think of Double Cherry, certainly. But it's just a fun piece. And like, one's like, yeah, that's definitively this game.
I think of all of them, this is the one I could most picture being performed live. Like just in the middle of a lounge or something.
Yeah.
I don't know what it is about it, but this is the one. I like this one because of that, pretty much.
I think that's a good way to put it, but I can also picture this next one being played live, and that would be Histocrat. Histocrat is the boss of World 3. just a very memorable boss battle, especially, climbing up the snake's neck, especially when you have the cat power and makes it very easy there. But I think, this is like big band as it gets, from that blaring intro to you get the kind of that cool bridge with the low, drums and kind of keeping it chill. And then the wow, 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 you get this warbling high pitches. The bass sounds pretty different too. Like definitely a little more electric distortion in a way to the bass. But just, overall a really memorable boss battle. It's one of the ones like I think of this soundtrack, I think of this song immediately. So it's a favorite of mine. Had to be here. It's just got to be here.
This is the most memorable song on the soundtrack because it's the most memorable part of the game. I want to say that a big part of that is, if I remember correctly, Histocrat's one of the first things we were shown of the game. He was at least the very first boss we were shown in a direct, for sure. But yeah, it's the drums that really do it here.
Yeah.
That heavy drum, that's what really gives it the big band feel. And yeah, I guess I could see this being played in a lounge too. Maybe not in a lounge. I don't know if this amount of it doesn't sound like something I'd want playing in the background while I'm sipping my drink.
What if this were playing when we were introducing Majima in Yakuza 0?
Huh? 一丁景気のやれや!
I could kind of see that, all things considered.
It would make it interesting, that's for sure. Last song on the Critical 5 here. We're going to go with The Bullet Bill Express. So this is like the main train theme. Like there are these train levels in Mario 3D World, especially in World 3 and in World 8, World Bowser, where like there's a slow lateral progression as you're moving atop this train. I think they're kind of one of the easier levels in the game, to be honest, but really good music to kind of go with it, especially this triumphant fanfare, especially when it's leading into the final showdown in World Bowser. And this is where I have to start pointing out that certain tracks here are used in Nintendo promotional videos, especially in the year 2015. Because if you heard this song and you're like, oh gosh, that sounds the bum bum ba-dum bum 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 bum, like where have I heard that before? Oh, that's Reggie Fils-Aimé flashing back to Nintendo World Championships and going, yes, and having the idea. For NWC to come back in 2015. That's in the announcement video from Mega 64. In fact, the Double Cherry Pass song, I mean, that's also featured in the video when Bill Trinan was fired. So, I mean, just from that video alone, it's like, oh, that's a couple songs from Super Mario 3D World. Interesting.
Oh, great. Bill, you're fired.
This song sounds a lot like a Galaxy song.
It sure does. And yeah, so you hear the Yokota kind of connection carry over there. And that wouldn't be the last song that sounds a lot like, oh, that could be very Galaxy-like. But yeah.
I mean, considering there's a Galaxy song in the game, we talked about
right. And it's like, what soundtrack would you want to copy from? Oh, just one of the best video game OSTs of all time. Mm-hmm. Just saying. Joe, though, you have a couple tracks here on the cutting room floor.
I do. My first one is, you mentioned the Bowser theme earlier. I really like World Bowser. So when we got to this map, we sat on this map for like 20 minutes just listening to this song because it's so good.
Yeah, it's the perfect representation of what Bowser's theme is in this game. And I wanted to wait until you gave it its proper due here so that people could hear it and just, like, enjoy it. Go listen to the full version. Like, you'll be hooked.
Oh, yeah. It's fantastic. It is one of my favorite songs in the entire game. Just, super good. The other one being Fuzzy Time Mine. Who needs to feel like anxiety itself has come to life inside of your video game to kill you when you can have this really groovy piece to go along with it?
I mean, yeah, it's an anxiety-inducing level in itself, being chased by these black fuzzies. And yeah, I mean, the saxophone, the trombone trade-off, like, it's perfect. It's so good.
So what do you got? Hit me with your stuff.
I have, when I was going between, like, what do I want the light bouncy piece to be that's, like, undeniably 3D world, I was between Double Cherry Pass and Chain Link Charge. And like I went back and forth on these for a while because they're both so good and so quintessential. In fact, some people sometimes call this song athletic, which is kind of a callback to how previous Mario games titled their tracks. But it's just this nice, smooth jazz with this just stepping energy. And it's like all the instruments are just working in perfect unison here, just making it work. And this is one, like, yeah, you hear this one. Like, it's not Galaxy, it's not 3D. This is Mario 3D World to a T. But I just like Double Cherry Pass a little more, to be honest. And then I also have to throw a shout out into The Great Tower Showdown 2. Because it's a showdown with Meowser. And Meowser is such a good final boss. It's why you're seeing Meowser in Super Mario Maker. Giant Meowser with wings. I don't know. Just more Meowser. It's another example on how Nintendo must have loved using 3D World music in 2015 promotions, because remember the Star Fox Zero reveal with Muppets at E3 2015? This is when the Star Fox characters are being revealed. Like, that's this song.
It's a really weird place to use that.
Right? Yeah, like, kind of weird. Even like Iwata roaming the halls and checking on Reggie and Miyamoto. That's the song Bowser's Lava Lake Keep.
Reggie, are you ready for the digital event?
Nintendo 62, Nintendo 63, Nintendo 64. My puppet body is ready.
Which is another fantastic song that I wish I could include here. But yeah, for whatever reason, 2015 was the year of let's use Mario 3D World music in everything. And why not? It's a great soundtrack. What will I never forget about the game? I think it's really the best iteration of that 4-player Mario action. But we'll see if Super Mario Maker 2 can top it. I do wonder. Maybe like we'll have to just say like, well, this is the best 3D, platforming multiplayer for Mario, because yeah, Mario Maker 2 will just have more options for the 2D platforming. I don't know, but like it's a great multiplayer game. Just you can breeze through it with friends. It's a whole lot of fun. And I love that Rosalina is a character unlock. Just a fantastic character.
She's fun to play as, too.
Yeah.
She's got like a pseudo double jump, but it's not really a double jump.
Mm-hmm. It's like also the twirl attack. I mean, just a fun game overall. I wish it could come to Switch, but you're right. I'm not sure it will. But just, a lot of fond memories with this game. And I forgot just how good this soundtrack is.
It is a fantastic soundtrack. The big band sort of aesthetic, really. I'm glad that seems to be where they've just decided to go for Mario in recent years, because like a lot of Odyssey stuff is that too. It feels like, especially, Jump Up Superstar, that's the most big band it could possibly be.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Again, like I said earlier, I'm not super into multiplayer platformers. They're really, especially Mario. But this one managed to break through that, and we got all the way to the end, and I had a good time the whole time. And yeah, I also kind of hope it comes to Switch, but again, I don't think it's going to, unfortunately. It's one of 2 games from the Wii U that I would desperately like to see on Switch.
Is the other one Tokyo Mirage Sessions Sharp FE?
Sure is.
Yeah. I know a lot of people want like Wonderful 101, Pikmin 3. There are still some...
Wonderful 101 more than anything deserves a second chance on a system people actually own.
It really does. There are still a lot of good games to still come over from Wii U, but yeah, Mario 3D World is definitely one of them. A great week of dogs and cats, that's for sure. Fantastic soundtracks. Good to have this one and have us present it to you. We're really happy to do so. But that'll do it for this week on Original Soundchat. You can find me on Twitter at Pete Speakeasy. Joe is over at The Dobaga. The video version of the show is on the Rhymes with Asia YouTube channel, also at rhymeswithasia.com, but it's that MP3 podcast version you want. So that is over on Anonymous Dinosaur at anondino.squarespace.com. Go on podcast services around the globe, Apple Podcasts, Google Play, wherever you can find those podcasts, download it, listen to it on the way to work, on a run, just listen to great conversations about game soundtracks. Absolutely. We still got that Patreon, kind of in its infancy stages. Check that out at patreon.com/anondino.
I think next week is when I want to try and start toying with getting the unlisted versions of the YouTube versions of the show up on the Patreon linked to early, maybe a couple of days. It really depends. But that's something that is probably hopefully going to start happening next week. I don't know. We're going to have to see.
Yeah, something we can make available to patrons there. There's also the Spotify playlist, which is updated when songs that we talk about are available on Spotify. They aren't always, especially when we can't necessarily include our podcast on Spotify's feeds. They're kind of stingy about fair use and things like that. But Joe's doing a great job updating that, so thank you, Joe.
This week, probably nothing, unfortunately. I'm sorry.
I hope Yakuza is.
I've looked. None of them are there. Which, go yell at Sega about that.
Yeah, come on, Sega. What gives? But also, our social media for the show is over at Soundchat OST, and you can leave us feedback there. How are we doing? Leave suggestions for games like us to cover in the future. Joe, who are you talking about next week?
Talking about Hirokazu Hip Tanaka.
Ooh, Hip Tanaka, a legend, but I'm covering Nobuo Uematsu, and that's a legend if I've ever heard one, so it's going to be a big one next week. Don't want to miss it. Let me play you out here for this episode here. We'll like to cover, again, another YouTube remix, OC remix, just a fan cover remix. I found another kind of electro swing song.
Yeah.
It's really catchy. It's really cool. I like it a lot. It's on OC Remix. It's called Caravan Bowser, and it's by Flexstyle and Expert Novice. XPRT Novice. It's super fun. I like it a whole lot. It's based on that Bowser theme. So go check it out. Thanks so much for listening. We'll see you next time on Original Sound Chat. Take care.